Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're now continuing on our functions and relations, domain and range by graph. We're only going to do example 1. So if you need to pause the video, please feel free to. Example 1 looks something like this. Question A has an ordered pair of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. And we're going to try to do all these questions here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to graph. We have a graph here, but I'm not going to do that because it's off screen, and I think you'll be okay. But question 1, I will sketch our answers, and hopefully the people in class are going to do it as well. This is graph the relations on the given grid, and we say, okay. So 1, 2 is here, and we put a point. 3, 4 is probably there, okay. 5, 6 is over there, and Mr. Chen should have planned a little bit better for this recording, but that's okay. 7 and 8 is right up there. So those are our 4 points. Done. 2, determine the domain and range for the relations. So for those students in class or you're watching this, it's going to be silly. So notice what we tend to use. D stands for domain, and R stands for range. When it's written this way, there is another letter that looks for R. That's why some textbooks use this, and this means real numbers. But for now, you're my students. D and R is domain and range. And all you want to do is determine the domain and range. What it's asking you is, seriously, list the x values and y values. If you want to watch here first before you do it, and then you might want to try question B yourself, that's okay. The domain for this question is 1, 3, 5, and 7. And that is how you list the domain. Now, if you really wanted to go a bit more authentic, x is equal to 1, 3, 5, and 7, semicolon, where x belongs to integers. However, you're my students for this quadrimester. I'm really interested of the actual answer. There's some formalities. For example, one more time, if you're going to go to a black tie dinner, you should be wearing a black tie. How about a red tie? Go ahead, it's a tie. But usually, there's a formality that you're supposed to be doing. What's the range? I think a lot of you know what the range is going to be. Y is equal to 2, 4, 6, and 8. Where y belongs to integers. Small disclaimer. Notice what we're doing. We're looking at the data or the graphs and just reading those values. But you can't go the reverse usually, meaning if they gave you the domain and range of something, you have no idea how to go the reverse way. Meaning, for example, and you don't have to copy this down. Let's just say I gave you the domain of x is equal to 3 and 7, and the range was -2 and 0. We have no idea if it's 3 and 0, or 3 and -2, or 7 and -2, or 7 and 0. We don't know. But at least one of those combinations. Everyone agree? We just don't know what the answer is going to lie. When you go the reverse, if you wanted to figure out the data or the graph. Part 3, we're almost done. Create a mapping diagram for the ordered pairs. This is super easy. 1, 2, 3, oops, not 1, 2, 3. 1, 3, 5, and 7. Those are x's. And then 2, 4, 6, 8. And some are going to understand the whole point of mapping diagrams. In red, it's telling us how they map. And last but not least, part 4, as we finish off this example 1, really easy. Are they representing a function or relation? And again, notice they gave you some space for writing the domain and range on your handout. Any volunteer from the class? Is this a function? Yes or no? Svea?
It's a function.
It's a function. And you guys are supposed to give me a reason. Because for every x, there's one y. Or satisfies the VLD. Remember the vertical line thing that I did? It only passed once. Both are valid in this case, because depending if you looked at the graph, you looked at the mapping diagram, or you looked at the set notation. Well, not that this one. The set notation, if you would put it. Any questions on example one? If you're hearing this at home, the school still is on old style systems of their timetable.